Hari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa Parivarajakaacharya Ashtottara Hridaya Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa Parivarajakaacharya Ashtottara Hridaya Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगा माई यमुना माई की भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की समवेत भक्त वृंद की गौर प्रेमानंदे all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So today is Varaha Dvadasi, the appearance of Lord Varaha. So we won't be doing the regular verse. Instead we'll be doing a different verse which is related to Lord Varaha. So the verse we'll be doing today is from the first canto, chapter number 3. Yeah, I'm gonna just... First canto, chapter number 3 and verse number 7. So this is the first time the name of Lord Varaha is mentioned in the Bhagavatam. So we'll be reciting on that verse today. Dvitiyam tu bhavayasya rasatalagatam mahim udarisyan upadatta Yajnesha Shaukaram Vapuhu Dvitiyam tu bhavayasya Rasatalagatam mahim Udarisyanupadatta Yajnesha Shaukaram Vapuhu Dvitiyam tu bhavayasya Rasatalagatam mahim Udarisyanupadatta Yajnesha Saukaram Vapuhu. Yajnesha Shaukaram Vapuhu Dvitiyatu Vavayasya Darishyanupadata Isha Shaukaram Vapuhu. Mataji? Dvitiyam tu Vayasyam Rasatala Gatamahim Udarisyan Upadata Yajnesha Shaukaram Vapuhu Dvitiyam tu Bhavayasya Rasatala Gatamahim Udarisyan Upadata Yajnesha Shaukaram Vapuhu. We'll skip the word to word, we'll just directly go to the translation. The supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices accepted the incarnation of a boar, the second incarnation, and for the welfare of the earth, he lifted the earth from the nether regions of the universe. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The indication is that for each and every incarnation of personality of Godhead, the particular function executed is also mentioned. There cannot be any incarnation without a particular function, and such functions are always extraordinary. They are impossible for any living being to perform. The incarnation of the boar was to take the earth out of Pluto's region of filthy matter. Picking up something from a filthy place is done by a boar, and the all-powerful personality of Godhead displayed this wonder to the Asuras who had hidden the earth in such a filthy place. There is nothing impossible for the personality of Godhead, and although he played the part of a boar, by the devotees he is worshipped staying always in transcendence. The sense of purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Ena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today is the appearance of Vamana, Lord Vamana, Varaha. I mean, it's a typo over there. I'm sorry for that. So today is the appearance of Lord Varahadev. This is the one day after the Ekadashi. It comes on a Dvadasi. So Lord Varaha's pastimes are actually mentioned in the canto number 3, chapter 13, and also chapter 18. It all starts, with the pregnancy of Diti in the evening, and because, she was impregnated in the evening, which is an inauspicious time. As a result, she gives birth to the two demons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. And basically, these Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were actually Jaya and Vijaya, the two doorkeepers in Vaikuntha planet, who were cursed by the 4 Kumaras and who had to take birth in this material universe. So they take birth as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. And basically this Hiranyaksha, pushes the planet Earth into the darkest regions of the universe, into the Karana water, I guess, of the universe. And Lord Varaha appears in order to rescue the planet Earth. So what I'll be doing now is that I will be reading some translations especially to the verses mentioned in the chapter 13. So those of you who would like to follow on the screen, they can just look at the screen. Otherwise, I also have this handouts. You will look at the handouts because there is about like 10 slides. you can take these handouts also. You want to just pass it out. Yeah, just pass it out. Those are comfortable looking at the screen, they can just follow it on the screen itself. So basically this summarizes the pastime of Lord Varaha. Canto number 3, chapter 13. I think this is from verse number 5 or 6, something like that. Okay. Sri Maitreya said, thus, seeing the earth merged in the water, Brahma gave his attention for a long time to how it could be lifted. Brahma thought, well, I have been engaged in the process of creation. The earth has been inundated by a deluge and has gone down into the depths of the ocean. What can we do? What can we do who are engaged in this matter of creation? It is best to let the Almighty Lord direct us. O sinless Vidura, all of a sudden, while Brahma was engaged in thinking, a small form of boar came out of his nostril. The measurement of the creature was not more than the upper portion of a thumb. O descendant of Bharata, while Brahma was observing him, that boar became situated in the sky in a wonderful manifestation as gigantic as a great elephant. Struck with wonder at observing the wonderful boar-like form in the sky, Brahma, with great Brahmanas like Marichi as well as Kumaras and Manu, began to argue in various ways. Is this some extraordinary entity come in the pretense of a boar? Is it very wonderful? It is very wonderful that he has come from my nose. First of all, this boar was seen no bigger than the tip of a thumb, and within a moment he was as large as a stone. My mind is perturbed. Is he the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu? While Brahma was deliberating with his sons, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu roared tumultuously like a great mountain. The omnipotent Supreme Personality of Godhead enlivened Brahma and the other highly elevated Brahmanas by again roaring with his uncommon voice, which echoed in all directions. When the great sages and thinkers who were residents of Janaloka, Tapoloka and Satyaloka heard the tumultuous voice of Lord Boar, which was the all-auspicious sound of the all-merciful Lord, they chanted the auspicious chants from the 3 Vedas. Playing like an elephant, he entered into the water after roaring again in reply to the Vedic prayers by the great devotees. The Lord is the object of Vedic prayers, and thus he understood that the devotees' prayers were meant for him. Before entering the water to rescue the earth, Lord Boar flew in the sky, slashing his tail, his hard hairs quivering. His very glance was luminous, and he scattered the clouds in the sky with his hoofs and his glittering white tusks. He was personally the Supreme Lord Vishnu and was therefore transcendental. Yet, because he had the body of a hog, he searched after the earth by smell. His tusks were fearful, and he glanced over the devotee Brahmanas engaged in offering prayers. Thus he entered the water. Diving into the water like a great mountain, Lord Boar divided the middle of the ocean, and the 2 high waves appeared as the arms of the ocean, which cried loudly as if praying to the Lord, O Lord of all sacrifices, please do not cut me in two, kindly give me protection. Lord Boar penetrated the water with his hoofs, which were like sharp arrows, and found the limits of the ocean, although it was unlimited. He saw the earth, the resting place of all living beings, lying as it was in the beginning of creation, and he personally lifted it. The Lord bore very easily took the earth on his tusks and got it out of the water. Thus he appeared very splendid. Then his anger glowing like the Sudarshana wheel, he immediately killed the demon Hiranyaksha, although he tried to fight with the Lord. Thereupon Lord Boar killed the demon within the water, just as a lion kills an elephant. The cheeks and tongue of the Lord became smeared with the blood of the demon, just as an elephant becomes reddish from digging into the purple earth. Then the Lord, playing like an elephant, suspended the earth on the edge of his curved white tusks. He assumed a bluish complexation like that of a tamal tree, and thus the sages, headed by Brahma, could understand him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offered respectful obeisances unto the Lord. All the sages uttered with great respect, O unconquerable enjoyer of all sacrifices, all glories and all victories unto you. You are moving in your form of the personified Vedas, and in the hair holes of your body are the oceans are submerged. For certain reasons, to uplift the earth, you have now assumed the form of a boar. O Lord, your form is worshipable by performances of sacrifice, but the souls who are simply miscreants are unable to see it. All the Vedic hymns, Gayatri and others, are in the touch of your skin. In your bodily hairs is the kusha grass. In your eyes is the clarified butter, and in your 4 legs are the 4 kinds of fruitive activities. O Lord, your tongue is a plate of sacrifice, your nostril is another plate of sacrifice. In your belly is the eating plate of sacrifice, and another plate of sacrifice is the holes of your ears. In your mouth is the Brahma plate of sacrifice, and your throat is the plate of sacrifice known as Soma, and whatever you chew is known as Agnihotra. Moreover, O Lord, the reputation of your appearance is the desire of all kinds of initiation. Your neck is the place for 3 desires, and your tusks are the result of initiation and the end of all desires. Your tongue is the prior activities of initiation. Your head is the fire without sacrifice, as well as the fire of worship. And your living forces are the aggregate of all desires. O Lord, your semen is the sacrifice called Soma Yajna. Your growth is the ritualistic performances of the morning. Your skin and touch sensations are the 7 elements of the Agnishtoma sacrifice. Your bodily joints are symbols of various other sacrifices performed in 12 days. Therefore, you are the object of all sacrifices called Soma and Asoma, and you are bound by yajnas only. O Lord, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are worshipped by universal prayers, Vedic hymns, and sacrificial ingredients. We offer our obeisances unto you. You can be realized by the pure mind, freed from all visible and invisible material contamination. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you as the Supreme Spiritual Master of knowledge in devotional service. O lifter of the earth with its mountains, which you have lifted with your tusks, is situated as beautifully as a lotus flower with leaves sustained by an infuriated elephant just coming out of the water. O Lord, as the peaks of the great mountains becomes beautiful when decorated with the clouds, your transcendental body has become beautiful because of your lifting the earth on the edge of your tusks. O Lord, for the residential purposes of all inhabitants, both moving and non-moving, this earth is your wife, and you are the Supreme Father. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you, along with Mother Earth, in whom you have invested your own potency. Just as an expert sacrificer puts fire in the arani wood, who else but you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, could deliver the earth from within the water? It is not very wonderful for you, however, because you acted most wonderfully in the creation of the universe. By your energy, you have created this wonderful cosmic manifestation. O Supreme Lord, undoubtedly we are inhabitants we are inhabitants of the most pious planets, the Jana, Tapas and Satyalokas, but still we have been purified by the drops of water sprinkled from your shoulder hairs by the shaking of your body. O Lord, there is no limit to your wonderful activities. Anyone who desires to know the limit of your activities is certainly nonsensical. Everyone in this world is conditioned by the powerful mystic potencies. Please bestow your causeless mercy upon these conditioned soul. The sage Maitreya said, the Lord being thus worshipped by all the great sages and transcendentalists touched the earth with his hooves and placed it on the water. In this manner, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, the maintainer of all living entities, raised the earth from within the water, and having placed it afloat on the water, he returned to his own abode. If one hears and describes in devotional service attitude, this auspicious narration of Lord bore, which is worthy of description, the Lord, who is within the heart of everyone, is very pleased. Nothing remains unachieved when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with someone. By transcendental achievement, one understands everything else to be insignificant. One who engages in transcendental loving service is elevated to the highest perfectional stage by the Lord Himself, who is seated in everyone's heart. Who other than one who is not a human being can exist in this world and not be interested in the ultimate goal of life? Who can refuse the nectar of narrations about the personality of Godhead's activities, which by itself can deliver one from all material pangs? The sense that first time, Lord Varaha Dev ki jai. So these are the series of verses describing the pastime of Lord Varaha in the 13th chapter of Canto number 3. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma mache divyam evam yo veti tatvataha tvakta deham punarjanma naiti mam eti so Arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So in this way, this is the secret. When we understand the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, that is a benefit, that we are liberated from the cycles of birth and death. So the key word here is Divyam. Divyam means transcendental. Because this pastime can be read by even the devotees and also a non-devotees. But however, the devotees, one thing which the non-devotees doesn't understand is this aspect, the transcendental nature of the Lord. That is something which a non-devotees cannot understand and cannot appreciate. But however, a devotee, when he understands the pastimes of the Lord, especially the transcendental nature of the pastimes of the Lord, then that is his perfection. Correct? Similarly, when we are reading this pastime of the Lord Bore or any other pastime of the Lord, if we are able to understand and appreciate this transcendental nature of the Lord, then our understanding of that pastime is perfect. Because this word divyam means transcendental, it can be multifold. Like, for example, we can understand how the Lord's desire is transcendental, and how the Lord's appearance is transcendental, and how the Lord's body is transcendental, and how the Lord's form is transcendental, and how the Lord's activities are transcendental, and how the Lord's disappearance is transcendental. So in each and every pastime of the Lord, if we are able to understand these aspects, how each and every aspect in the pastime of the Lord is transcendental, then that is the perfect understanding of that pastime. So, for example, even in this current pastime of Lord Varaha, we can try to understand all these different aspects of the transcendental nature of these pastimes. And this is something which can be only possible for a devotee. Because even for a Mayavadi, even though he acknowledges the transcendental nature of the Lord, but for him, the only thing which is transcendental is Brahman. But whereas the Lord's form, desires, appearance, activities, the Mayavadi consider it as which is not transcendental. He thinks that it is something which is covered by Maya. But however, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Janma Karma means both. It's not just the nature of the Bhagavan, but also his appearance and his activities. Both are transcendental. So that is the understanding. It is not that only the Brahman is transcendental, but whereas the Lord's birth and activities are not transcendental. No, that is not correct, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Janma Karma Mache Divyam. Everything is transcendental. So now, this is a prayer, glorifying the appearance of Lord Varaha in the Geet Govinda by Jayadev Goswami. It says, Vasati Dashana Shikare Dharini Tava Lagna Shashini Kalanka Kevala Nimagna Keshava Druta Sukara Rupa Jaya Jagadish Hare. All glories to Lord Keshava, who appeared as the boar. The earth was held between his tusks, which appeared like the scars on the moon. So this is where Jayadev Goswami, glorifies the appearance of the incarnation of the Lord in the form of a boar. And as I mentioned before, there are various aspects in this Lord's pastimes which are transcendental. For example, as I mentioned before, the Lord's desire is also transcendental, correct? So for example, in this pastime, in one of the purports, Prabhupada mentions, the Supreme Personality of Godhead desired to fight because the fighting spirit is also within him. So this is the transcendental desire of the Lord for him to appear in the form of Lord Varaha. So now again, someone may ask, what is so transcendental about this, right? Even, we all also desire to fight sometimes. Even the Lord is also desiring to fight. So now, how do you differentiate something which is material and something which is transcendental, divyam? Correct? Apparently it looks same, almost the same, right? But however, when we try to understand this, in tattva, using the different, commentaries by our acharyas, and try to understand how the Lord's desire is transcendental. One difficulty in understanding, when we say transcendental, one difficulty in understanding the transcendental is that we do not actually experience it, right? Let's say you want to compare apple and orange. You know what is apple, you know what is orange, so you can compare it. But however, our senses are made up of three modes of nature, correct? Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. But however, transcendental means something which is beyond the three modes of nature. So if something is beyond the three modes of nature, first of all, how do you even understand it? And how do you even experience it? And how do you even explain it to somebody else? Right? So that means that you are trying to understand something which is beyond your senses. Correct? So then how do we understand this word divyam? But however Krishna says that you should understand janma karma mache divyam, then how do you understand this divyam? So there are different ways how we can explain the transcendental nature of the Lord. One way is through negation. Well, when we negate everything that is material, then what's left is spiritual. That's one way of understanding what is spiritual. For example, this is a prayer of from the pastimes of Gajendra. This is one of the prayers offered by Gajendra. It says here, Savaina devasura mrityan tiryan na stri na sadho na puman na jantuhu nayam guna karmana san na chashun nidesha shesho jayatad asheshaha. He is neither demigod nor demon, neither human being nor bird or beast. He is not woman, man or neuter, nor he is an animal. He is not a material quality, a fruitive activity, a manifestation or non-manifestation. He is the last word in discrimination of not this, and he is unlimited. All glories to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is just one way of understanding the transcendental when we negate everything that is material, right? So then that is spiritual. So now, similarly, the Lord's activities are also transcendental. So this is a verse, actually, this is a prayer by Lord Shiva glorifying Lord Sankarshana in the 5th chapter of the Bhagavatam, 17th chapter, 19th verse. Nayasya maya guna chitta vrittibhir nirikshato hi anva api drishtir ajyate ishe yatano jitamanyu rahamsam kastam na manyate jigisur atmanaha. We cannot control the force of our anger. Therefore, when we look at material things, we cannot avoid feeling attraction or repulsion for them. But the Supreme Lord is never affected in this way. Although he glances over the material world for the purpose of creating, maintaining and destroying, he is not affected, even to the slightest degree. Therefore, one who desires to conquer the forces of the senses must take shelter of lotus feet of the Lord. Then he will be victorious. This verse is very important because this verse, actually differentiates what is material and what is spiritual. When we have a desire, it's a material desire. But when the Lord has a desire, it is transcendental desire. So even though it looks the same, this is a difference. This is the difference. Our desire is Maya Guna Chitta Vrittibir. Our desires are nothing but something which are generated in our mind. And our desires are generated based on our inclinations of something which we like, something which we don't like. So it is Chitta Vritti, nothing more than that. But however, the Lord's desire is not a Chitta Vritti. Correct? So, for us to really appreciate what is spiritual, actually we must really understand what is material. For example, if we try to understand how we desire, how does even the desires come to our mind, how the material desires come to our mind. For example, I'll try to explain in short. It's a very big subject, but I'll try to keep it short so that we can appreciate material versus spiritual. How do we desire? Let's say we see an object, correct? When we see an object, that means that our senses are perceiving that object. Either it's a form or a sound or a taste or a smell, correct? Our senses are basically collecting that information or gathering the data, and it is feeding to our mind. And what is mind? There are 4 things in the mind. In the mind you have manas, you have buddhi, you have manas, buddhi, and you have ahankara, and you have chitta. So when we perceive any object and the senses are sending this information to our mind, what our mind is doing is that basically it is trying to decode that information. It is trying to understand what that is, what it is perceiving, correct? So that is what buddhi is trying to do. What buddhi is doing is that it is trying to decode the information which the senses are feeding to that. And what manas is doing is that manas basically is adding emotions and feelings onto those things, right? When you see something, that is why you just don't see it, but you see it with emotions, correct? So that is what the manas is doing. And everybody has a different feelings and emotions, and these are all because of samskaras. Everybody has a different samskara, so everybody has a different emotions and feelings. And all these samskaras are basically coming from chitta, because chitta is where all the past memories are stored. So this chitta is basically influencing the manas in generating various thoughts, emotions and feelings, and buddhi is trying to analyze it, decode the information. And once this information is decoded, the next thing is that either you like it or you don't like it. Nothing more than that. That is what it is said, that, you see, we cannot avoid feeling attraction or repulsion for them. Nothing more than that. At the end of the day, when you understand something, either you like it or you don't like it. And sometimes it so happens that sometimes buddhi is strong, buddhi will take over. Sometimes manas is strong, that means emotions will take over. Right? Sometimes when we see small children, right, there is no much buddhi in them. It's more of manas, means they just go by their feelings and emotions. And mother will tell, no, this is the right thing, this is the wrong thing. The mother tries to enforce the buddhi, but child always wants to enforce the manas, right? So always a constant battle between manas and buddhi. And what is ahankara? And above this manas and buddhi is ahankara. And what does this ahankara does? Ahankara really, its job is very simple. All it does is that it says that I am doing this. Or when I'm walking, I am walking. When I'm doing something, I am doing. Ahankara job is very simple. It just takes the credit. Right? So that is why it said, Prakrite kriyamanani gune karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudatma kartayam iti manyata. Means the bewildered spirit soul under the influence of three modes of nature thinks himself to be the doer of activities which is actually carried out by nature, the three modes of nature. So all these things are done by manas, buddhi, chitta and all the senses, but ahankara just comes and says that I am doing this, nothing more than that. And above ahankara is chitta. Basically chitta is where all the memories, past memories, everything is stored from all your lifetimes. That is why it's called chitta vritti nirodha or cheto darpana marjan, means cleansing your mind, means cleansing all these past memories and all these bad things in your chitta. So this is how a material desire is. Material desire is nothing but chitta, maya guna chitta vrittibir, nothing more than that. But however, the Lord's desire is not something which is arising out of chitta vritti. Because the Lord's body is not made up of three modes of nature. The Lord's body is made up of Shuddha Sattva. Correct? So it is beyond the three modes of nature. So even though it appears that the Lord is also having a desire and we are also having a desire, but His desire is spiritual and our desire is material. And if we are able to understand this transcendental desire of the Lord, then we are freed from this cycle of birth and death. So similarly, the Lord's body is also transcendental. This is also one shloka from 5th canto, Glories of Lord Ananta, where it says, Utpatti sthiti laya hetavo sa kalpaha satvadaya prakriti guna yad ikshayan yad rupam dhruvam akritam yad ekam ana atman nanat khatam hu yuha veda tasya vartama. By his glance, the Supreme Personality of Godhead enables the modes of material nature to act as the cause of material universal creation, maintenance and destruction. The Supreme Soul is unlimited and beginningless. And although He is one, He has manifested Himself in many forms. How can human society understand the ways of the Supreme? So the important word here is dhruvam and akritam, means unlimited and beginningless. Akritam means beginningless. Basically, that is the quality of something, an object which is material versus transcendental. A material object, let's say take example of this thing, right? So if this object is here, that means that it is not there. If it is there, it is not here, correct? Means that it has a spatial limitations. But however, the Lord's body does not have a spatial limitations. It is dhruvam, means unlimited. And akridam means it does not have a beginning and it does not have an end, akridam. So this is how we must understand the Lord's body is transcendental. So even though the Lord's Varaha, even though the Lord apparently seemed to have taken the form of a boar, but his form is not something which is material. It's not like a material boar. His form is unlimited and beginningless. It is transcendental form, Dhruvam and Akridam. Similarly, the Lord's body is transcendental and the Lord's form is also transcendental. And here it is said, Murtim naha puru kripaya bhavara sattvam samsuddham sad etad idam vidhati tatra yal leelam mrigapatir adhadhe navadyam adhatum swajana manamsya udhara viryaha. So here it says, this manifestation of subtle and gross material matter exists within the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Out of causeless mercy towards his devotees, he exhibits various forms which are all transcendental. Someone may ask a question, okay, if the Lord's form is transcendental, then how is it that these different, living entities in the Janaloka, Tapoloka are able to see it? Because even though they are also material, having material bodies, right? So then how is it that someone who is having material eyes is able to perceive the spiritual nature of the body, the spiritual body, correct? So that is the explanation given here is that Pura Kripaya means out of the causeless mercy towards his devotees, he exhibits various forms which are all transcendental. So in this way, even though the Lord's form is transcendental, and even someone with the three modes, material eyes cannot see it, but it is only because the Lord reveals himself that someone is able to see the Lord's form. And why does he do that? He says, Swajana manamsi udhara viryaha. That means that to conquer the minds of his devotees and give pleasure to their hearts, he appears in different incarnations and manifests many pastimes. So it is not just to kill the demon that the Lord is appearing, but he's also appearing basically to conquer the minds of his devotees and to give pleasure to their hearts. And when he does that, he does in his own transcendental body and form. And even when the Lord disappears, even the Lord's disappearance is also transcendental. So here in this sloka you can see, Prapadarshe apta tapasam avitrapta drisham nranam adayantar adhas yastu swa bhinnam lokalochanam. Lord Krishna, who manifested his eternal form before the vision of all on the earth, performed his disappearance by removing his form from the sight of those who are unable to see him due to not executing required penance. You see here, when the Lord Krishna disappears, the word used here is that lokalochanam, which means that the ordinary human beings are not able to see. It does not say that the Lord's form is destroyed. What it said is that he basically cannot be perceived any longer or becomes unmanifest from the vision of the common people. So similarly, when the Lord disappears, it is not that he has taken a form and his form is getting destroyed. It is not like that. It is just that a form is being manifested and unmanifested to the vision of a common people. But however, for the pure devotees, they can still see the Lord's form even though it is unmanifested to the common public. So in this way, every activity of the Lord, either his appearance, disappearance, activities, pastimes, right, desires, everything is transcendental. And when we are able to understand this transcendental nature of the Lord in all his pastimes, then our life is perfect and we will be relieved from this cycle of birth and death. So this ends my class. Thank you very much. Any comments or questions? Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna. Vedanta Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yeah, Lord Varaha Dev ki jai.
নিতাই না বলি নিতাই না বলি মুখে মজিল নিতাই না বলি মুখে মজিল সংসার সুখে বিদ্যা খুলে বিদ্যা খুলে কি করিবে নিতাই পদ কমলা কোটি নিতাই পদ অহংকারে নিতাই পদ অহংকারে নিতাই পদ অসত্যে সত্য করি মানি অসত্যে সত্য করি মানি নিতাই করুণা হবে রাধা কৃষ্ণ পাবে নিতাইয়ের করুণা হবে নিতাইয়ের করুণা হবে রাধা কৃষ্ণ পাবে চরণ